So I am a functional podiatrist and a human movement specialist, and I have a big interest in the evolution of bipedalism.
Well, I know we sent you tracks that we found out in the field. Can you break down your process of how you analyze a foot track?
What I did is I set them down all on the floor, and then I looked at them from a distance to see what kind of jumped out at me from the shape, from the size, from the detailing of the prints. And then I went in deeper and started taking actual measurements of the size of the foot, the breadth of the foot. This is based off of forensic podiatry, which is a division of podiatry that uses footprints that would be found at a crime scene to then try to determine height, weight, etc., even gait pattern of a suspect.
I gotta ask you, Dr. M, this is probably the first time anybody has come to you with what might be a Bigfoot foot to analyze. Did you see anything that, jumped out at you as being different or strange?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sending that to me. And what I want to share with you is first with the smaller pair, just because those were so well articulated, even the web space and in between the ball of the foot and where the digits start to make an imprint was so well defined. I thought that they would look more primate, and they actually looked more Homo sapien.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, not evolved Homo sapien. What I'm looking, just based off of the assessment, would be human-like.
In looking at our ancestral lineage, we see in primates that they have what sort of looks like they still have a finger, whereas in humans, we have a big toe. What is it that you're seeing in those prints?
Yeah, so that is actually one of the biggest distinctions of what I saw is this well-defined big toe joint, you could say. But what really stands out around the prints that makes them less human-like is the breadth. So the width of the metatarsal area, so here, this is going to be wider than in Homo sapien foot, and then down to the calcaneus.
It's interesting to hear that Dr. Emily feels that this cast is similar to a human foot, but there are key differences. Because if this print didn't come from a human, then these differences might provide real insight into how an animal would interact in this environment.
Are you able to determine the ability of these things to be able to travel long distances?
Based off of it being a human-like foot means that it would be upright, which inherently gives the ability to walk longer distances.
Okay.
They have a wider foot that allows for maybe more stability on forest floors, rocks and branches and things like that.
Got it. So what's your takeaway from these tracks?
So when I did the measurements, there are well-accepted calculations to find averages between foot length and height. What they found is that there's a 15% correlation. So I measured from the center of the heel to the middle of the big toe to determine the foot length. Take that and then use that 15% calculation to determine potential height from this print.
We're dying to know, what'd you get?
So from this smaller print, the height is around 6 feet 9 inches to 7 feet.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
On the smaller pair.
Wow.
That's crazy. So what are the calculations on the height for the big print?
So the large print, which was 42 centimeters, is an estimate of 9 feet.
Wow.
So what we're dealing with then would be something that is 9 foot tall, and then another one that's 6 to 7 foot tall, walking around the forest upright,
Barefoot.
barefoot.
Wow. I'm amazed. Hearing a 7 foot tall and 9 foot tall creature walking around just a stone's throw away from the nest that we found. That's validation enough for me that families of Bigfoot exist, and they are here.
When it comes to the smaller feet, is it possible that this could belong to a juvenile?
If we think of size as being an indicator, then sure, with the more well-defined smaller prints, the fact that they're very well-defined makes me think that there's more of an effortlessness in the movement. When we are younger, we move more fascially. There's a lightness. Think of like a toddler that will never get tired. And that's something that could suggest that it was a younger animal that made that imprint.